All right, if you're even thinking about buying a home in North Carolina, there's probably one giant question that's been bouncing around in your head. How much house can I actually afford? It's the biggest question for any home buyer. So today, we're going to dig in and give you some real, solid answers.
And to do that, we're not just going to talk in generalities. Nope. We are going to zero in on a really common budget target to see what it truly unlocks in today's market.
And that magic number? It's $2,000 a month. For this whole breakdown, every single calculation we're about to do is all aimed at hitting that exact monthly payment. Think of it as our North Star.
Now, before we jump into the really exciting part, the actual house prices, we got to pull back the curtain and talk about the assumptions we're making. These are kind of like the rules of the game that make all our numbers add up.
So first things first, let's talk about PITI. You'll hear this acronym all the time. When we say a $2,000 payment, we're not just talking about what you're paying back on the loan. We're talking about the whole shebang: your principal, the interest, your property taxes, and your homeowner's insurance. All four of those things get bundled into that one monthly number.
And here's exactly what's under the hood for our math. We're locking in a 30-year fixed interest rate, right around 6.25%. And we're using real tax and insurance rates from Wake and Johnston counties. So this isn't just guesswork. This is the engine that's going to power all the prices we're about to explore.
Okay, you ready? Let's dive into our first scenario. This is the one that's kind of the gold standard, what a lot of people aim for, putting 20% down. Let's see how that one decision totally changes the game.
And here is the absolute biggest perk of doing that. When you hit that 20% down payment mark, you get to completely sidestep something called private mortgage insurance, or PMI. Honestly, just think of PMI as this extra fee you have to pay that protects the lender, not you. By dodging it, way more of your $2,000 goes toward your house, your equity.
And boom, look at these results. With 20% down, that $2,000 a month suddenly gets you into the $315,000 to $340,000 range. And here's something really interesting to notice right away. See how unincorporated Johnston County has the lowest tax rate? Well, that gives you the most bang for your buck, stretching your budget all the way up to about $340K.
But let's be real for a second. Saving up 20% is a huge mountain to climb. So let's look at a much more common situation for a lot of buyers, especially first-timers, putting just 5% down. So here's the trade-off. It's obviously way easier to save up for a smaller down payment, but it does come with a cost. You remember that private mortgage insurance we just talked about avoiding? Well, it's back, and it gets added right into your monthly payment, which means it eats up a chunk of that money that could have gone toward the house itself.
And just look at the impact that has. Our purchasing power definitely takes a hit. That same $2,000 monthly payment now gets you a home somewhere in the $255,000 to $270,000 range. Johnston County still gives you a little more breathing room, but you can see that across the board, the max price you can afford is lower.
If you want to see just how dramatic that difference is, just look at Clayton. By going from a 5% down payment to a 20% down payment, your buying power jumps from $260,000 all the way to $325,000. That's a $65,000 difference for the exact same monthly payment. It's huge.
Okay, hold on. Before you run off and start filtering your Zillow searches, we need to talk about some really important fine print. These numbers are an amazing starting point, but they don't quite capture every single little cost.
It's super important to remember that things like HOA dues, and you know how common those are around here, are not included in our $2,000 calculation. Same goes for stuff like flood insurance if you need it, or any special taxes. These are extra costs that you'll have to layer on top depending on the specific house you're looking at.
And that really brings us to the main point here. The source of this data puts it perfectly. These are just general estimates to keep us on track. Think of what we just did as creating a powerful guide. It gives you a realistic price range to begin your search, but it's always going to be your specific situation with a lender that determines those final exact numbers.
So the goal today wasn't to give you one single perfect number. It was to give you a realistic framework. Now you can actually see, plain as day, how much your down payment really sways your budget for that same monthly cost. The only real question left is, now that you have this knowledge, what's your next step?